Welcome to Matt Streams. How you doing? We have Fallout 4 today, and this is it's a beautiful game. It's a very, it's a game you can criticize, just like you can criticize Skyrim for feeling a little bit empty, but it's quite beautiful. In kind of a funny looking way. Like Fargo, but yeah, it's sort of like, grotesque atmosphere, but beauty within it still. But yeah, oh, level 17. Okay. Yeah, so I like this game well enough. I could, on some levels, like, I think I really like it, and I think I sort of like was very drawn to it aesthetically when it came out. I saw the advertising with sort of like, you walking into the distance with your dog next to you, and it was like, oh, like, wow, that looks pretty amazing. Like, or at least, I don't know, like it was effective advertising. And it really is cool. It's actually even cooler than that because they're so well recreating Massachusetts atmospherically that it's quite good. And this really does feel different. Like, I don't know, maybe Massachusetts is sort of a vibe. The vibe I'm feeling with it is sort of like a vibe you could more easily do anyway, but I don't know. It feels like they captured it. Whether intentionally or not. Similar to Johnny from the Happy Console Gamer Show, he talked about how he played Yakuza Like a Dragon Hawaii. God, how many fucking sub-series do they have? I think it's Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Hawaii, or something. And he said it really captured the Hawaiian atmosphere. And then he talked about how he had been to Hawaii many times, and like there was just something about it that felt like another world. And I gotta say, I've been to Hawaii, and yeah, something about it feels kind of like another world. Like, I guess it feels almost like going to some kind of theme park, except the theme park is the entire location. I don't know. It's pretty cool over there. And it's sort of cool as opposed, like California, on the other hand, you sort of think of California like that. But when you actually are in California, I mean, it is cool. Like, it is sort of picturesque. But the vibe, like, I don't know. The vibe just... It's just not like the Hawaii kind of vibe. Like truly to be there, it feels like a breath of fresh air, a relief to be in Hawaii. But when you're in California, it's just like okay. And in Massachusetts, it feels kind of toxic. So yeah, I think this probably captures Massachusetts in a similar way to whatever Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Hawaii does. Is that a fucking mockery of itself yet? Like, our Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Hawaii. Like, am I just saying like specific game names, or are those all series, except for Hawaii? Okay, so let's actually figure out, like, a quest. So what are we doing? We got Piper with us. We didn't join the Underground Railroad, because they're just such a fucking, like, cartoonish... Like, it's one of the more cartoonish game organizations I've ever seen. The Matrix-style Underground Railroad. Yeah, okay. Okay, here we go. And Virgil probably put it best. What, are they fighting for the liberation of the soda machines or something? And it's funny because Virgil says that, and he's basically turned into a super mutant. So they could be fighting for his liberation if the I don't know if the beloved group goes from robot to super mutant. But anyway. Yeah, so let's go do molecular. Oh my god. Let's run, Piper. I'm sorry. Oh shit. Piper will be okay. She'll be like right there. Well, eventually. Okay, where's Pipe? Come on, Pipe. Oh, fuck, another one? Okay. Where? Hey, maybe he doesn't see us. Oh, fuck you, dude. Oh, you know what? The other day I stopped playing this game because I was like, do I really want to be playing a game like this fucking brutal? That might happen again, I don't know. I mean, obviously I've gotten this far in the game, but it's similar to, like, you know, you eat meat, and you might think about, like, oh, I don't really want to eat meat, like, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, there's the day you stop eating meat, and, like, that's basically it. If you do. For me, it was actually, like, once I stopped, then eventually it became, like, basically just the routine not to eat meat. There was one time where I then ate lasagna with meat in it. Oh, shit. Like, I saw my uncle, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I don't think, like, he knew that I was, like, eating vegetarian. And he's like, here, we got some fucking, lasagna. Like, do you want to sit down and, like, do you want to eat some lasagna while you're here or something? And I was like, this is a nice little moment, and I don't want to just throw in, like, well, actually, I'm not going to eat that. I mean, he had a bunch of, you know, they usually have a bunch of fucking food at their house. He probably would have said, all right, would you like to eat something else? But, in any case, I was like, whatever. So I did eat that with him, and I think I did feel a little, like, stomach sickness, or, like, had some kind of bodily response. So that was interesting. Not like anything, you know, severe. Okay, Piper? Where are you? Uh-oh. Piper! And you would be looking for her in this, like, foggy... What time is it? You would be looking for her in this foggy night. Piper! Oh, there's... Thank you, Piper. You came back. Piper.
Hey. You say the word.
Hey, Piper.
You really do have a talent for finding trouble, don't you?
Yeah, I guess you could say so. It finds me, chat later, suppose so. Well, there you go.
So.
Hey, I'm not one to judge. Honestly, it's just nice to not be doing it alone for a change. In my line of work, things tend to get pretty hairy. I've been shot at, poisoned, nearly executed. Heck, until recently they called the lockup in Diamond City the Piper Suite. Anything for a story, I suppose.
The way she said heck there, she seemed, and even kind of looked and sounded a lot, or at least a little bit like the girl who was the band girl in American Pie. I can't believe it. I don't know if I've ever thought about it, but she might be somewhat reminiscent of that girl.
You've led an exciting life.
Sure have. But honestly, now that I'm out here with you, I feel like I'm just getting started. Getting in trouble is what folks like us do. I mean, you and I are out here putting ourselves at risk so people in the Commonwealth can have a chance at a better life. Not for praise or reward or glory, but because it's right. I just wanted to let you know I'm real happy to be along for the ride.
Oh, shit. Wow. Oh, my God. Flirt. Are you fucking kidding me? How many times have I talked about how Piper seems like, despite all of the potential clashes, she does seem like a potential mate. Oh, God. Okay. You know what? I'm not sure I feel the flirting right now. This might be literally the first and last time I will see this option with Piper. You know what? I think in real life, I'd probably like be a little more neutral, or like a little less, a little less like propositional right away after she said something like that. But in the time frame of like talking to somebody in this game, the conversation like changes so quickly depending on what you pick that, if you let a possibility that they give you pass by, then it might not come back again. So whereas in real life, I'd probably like, I'd probably sort of save that or kind of have a little bit of that. Like right now, I guess the best. Let's do it.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I like having you close.
All the better to watch each other's backs.
Ah.
So you want to get out of here?
Watch each other's backs, huh? Okay. All right, let's go talk to Sturgis. How cool is this atmosphere? This kind of feels like being back in like high school, or I often talk back to those periods because that was really like, some of the last life experience that I've had up until maybe, hopefully, the near future or somewhat recently even, where it feels like, when you go into the world, like if you're walking around at night, like if you're walking down the street at night, there's a real sense of atmosphere. Can we change the color of our flashlight? Oh, level up. Okay. What do we want? Cap collector. You got to give it to Fallout. This is sort of a supreme aesthetic achievement. And I mean that seriously. I don't know if there's a single game that has a cooler screen with more work put into making every single thing as like aesthetically interesting as possible with your perks. Like they literally made a separate animation and concept and little drawing, but each of them has like kind of a concept for every single perk in the game. Every time you level up, you can pick one of these things. And the one you pick, you'll see it animated. See how fucking cool is that? Oh man, this is crazy. Grim Reaper Sprint. Ooh, what a intelligence. Robotics expert. Hack a robot. Oh. Any chems you take last 50% longer. Far out. Ooh, that's pretty good. They last longer? Does that mean... Oh, like chems... Like, is Radaway a chem? I think you can get addicted to Rad-X, can't you? Because I'd love to have the rad stuff last longer. But it might really just come down to Radaway and that's it. Because I've been fairly hesitant to take more of the psychostimulants and stuff. Might not be so useful. My intelligence level may be high enough to perceive that, and the perception perhaps, that is not the best thing to pick. Maybe not. There's no chance you'll get addicted to alcohol. Oh, cool. Party boy. That's hilarious. Because you lead by example. Your companion does more damage in combat and cannot hurt you. They can hurt me now? Yeah, okay. Rad resistant. Chem resistant. All the time, all the rush without the hassle, you're 50% less likely to get addicted. Well, that's sort of an answer to the other idea, right? There's probably one here where you do not get any addiction. Radiation now regenerates your lost health. Oh my god. That's sort of the king of the castle perk. And then you get +2 strength and endurance during the daytime, basically, or when the sun is between 6 and 6. Between 6 and 6, really. Okay. Eating human corpses restores health. Oh, God. And, like, even, like, some of the concepts behind the game mechanics here are interesting. This is, I gotta say, I give this thing, like, an A+. Like, this is one of the... I should write an article about this. Like, this is one of the greatest things in gaming. Doesn't matter. I'm not talking about how good the game is. I'm saying this is so cool. Automatic weapons do 20% more damage. Fuck it, let's do it. Look at that. See? So cool. Okay. Now can we change the color? Oh, HUD color. Pip-Boy color. Yeah, look at that. Shit. Okay. Wait. Oh, now it's like yellowish. It can go from, what, green to yellow? Really? That's it? Alright. Oh, R. RGB. Oh, okay. God, what? I literally have a channel theme called RGB. I like this. Hopefully it's saved. Yeah, look at that. Look at the color of the light now. Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't that a much nicer flashlight color? And let's look at the Pip-Boy. Check it out. Ooh, yeah, look at that yellow. Oh, I'm loving that. That's so much easier on the eyes. You know what? Adyashanti said something that I heard years ago. Something about how basically, like, and this sort of goes along with the concept he floated of, like, spiritual loafing, quote unquote. Sort of like the idea that, you know, after, like, in some context of spiritual awakening, you might just sort of, like, kind of just be hanging out. Like, you just don't feel like, essentially you're just, like, it's sort of like equanimity, I suppose. But then he said something in a different thing, maybe, about, like, basically when somebody asks, I think somebody might have asked him, or maybe he was just talking about the idea of what to do. Like, you know, or like, how do I follow my inspiration? Or maybe not even inspiration, like, basically, how do I stay on the right path? Or like, what should I do with my life even? Something, maybe. Or like, what would be an okay thing to do with my life, you know, as opposed to whatever might seem spiritually unsavory. And I think in some sense, something about the idea of what to do. In that context, I think Adyashanti said, well, basically, like, you might ask yourself, what do you want to do? Or what do I want to do? And that may sound like a lot of hedonism and stuff, but I think it might be really more, in the sense that he was talking about it anyway, I think it might be more, or in the practice of it, more related to sort of a stoicism idea of freedom. Like, Seneca is like, you know, you haven't earned your freedom yet, or something like that in his letters to Lucilius. So, like, something about, or, you know, earning or buying your freedom or something. I don't know. I could be totally misinterpreting or representing that. Maybe it's something like you haven't made enough money to not be beholden to the people who would otherwise charge you things that you couldn't afford. I don't know. But basically the idea of, like, what do you want to do? Because I think back in my life, like, to sort of the high school days or whatever, and I was not, like, navigating the world. I mean, in many ways, I think, you know, things are better now in terms of, like, how I'm operating. But I was not really navigating the world in the sense of, like, oh, like, with a lot of shoulds going on. Like, what should I do? Like, I should do this or else or something. It really was more like, you know, what do I feel like doing right now? And that might sound in itself kind of hedonistic or childish, but I think what it really might be is closer to something that Bashar or Darryl Anka, whatever, Bashar talks about actually, which is something like, you know, follow your highest excitement. And even if it appears that the pattern is, like, in zigzags, on some level, like, you'll be going through the pattern faster, or you'll just, essentially, it will be a more direct path towards, like, you know, some kind of, like, better outcome generally for you. Like, follow your passion, or follow your I think he's not passion, I think he says follow your highest excitement or something. Anyway, it is, it basically, it reminds me of, like, back in high school when, you know, like, it wasn't like I was just doing, like, you know, BS. Like, you know, I'd get really interested in Guitar Hero, and I'd be playing that video game, and I'd be getting pretty good at using, like, the guitar-shaped controller. I've got one here, actually. And I'll show you, like, I've been getting, not now, but, like, in high school, like, I got pretty good at this, and I didn't think, like, at first it seemed so hard that even easy mode seemed, like, very hard. But, like, I got to the point where not only was I doing, like, or I don't know, not only was I doing, like, the first 4 buttons, or they even started the first 3, and they only have, like, 3 notes, but I was doing the 4, so I was using all my fingers, but then beyond that, I was moving over to the 5th, because they'd give you all 5, and you'd have to move your hand, and I could do it literally, like, I couldn't do it closing my eyes, at least in the sense, I think that if you didn't see the notes, then what did you know what to play? Maybe if you memorized the song. But I could do it with the guitar behind my back, literally. And it was fun. But more than fun, it was like, basically I was just sort of like, I was just doing something because I felt like it. and not in such like a careless way, really at all. More like in a devoted way. And you know, I would do that with the writing stuff, and I'd also, you know, like when I did my homework or whatever, like, you know, I tended to get pretty good grades. I think I tended to devote, you know, attention to that. And so essentially it was all like, you know, what do I feel like is the best thing to do right now? Whereas these past probably many years actually, and maybe this is something I've fallen into, and maybe I was sort of freer back then, or free back then, in a way where I sort of like fell out of that. But in any case, like these days it's more a sense of like, or it has felt like a sense, if you put it that way, of following the sense of internal guidance kind of slavishly. And I don't want to put it in those terms, but like with such high devotion that it sort of more resembles a story of like Nisargadatta or Yogananda, or like whatever, like, you know, perhaps Indian guru character or whatever, person, teacher, whatever you want to call them just sort of being like, you know, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm getting on this train, and I feel like I must get on this train and take it to this location, and then I'll figure out I'll do whatever I feel like I'm being guided to do from there. And you know, that, to bring Adyashanti back into it, that seems like it might be. I'm not saying that's bad, because especially because these seem to be like highly lauded and respected figures who, whatever the reality might be in various senses, they, you know, personally, politically, spiritually, metaphysically, whatever, character-wise, like, were they put up by somebody else to be this Indian guru or whatever. But like in any case, if you like read their writings or sayings or whatever, it's often really powerful shit. And so but I think like, on some level, like Adyashanti did sort of caution against, or he talked about the idea of like somebody going way too unconscious. And I think unconscious maybe he was just referring to like not following your inner guidance, but maybe he was kind of referring to the idea of like following your inner guidance so much that you're basically like, you feel like you're going around with like no idea of what you're doing, but just the sense of like, this is what I should say next, this is what I should do next. And that might seem like it's kind of a freeing thing, but at least in practicality, in practice, it often seemed to me like more like, it's just kind of, it kind of feels like you're just always sort of like, it's always like, it's very important that I follow this precisely, and sometimes it seemed to align with.
Do to lighten the load, or, you know.
Sorry, Piper. If you need anything proofread, well, that's interesting. Because, you know, I editor, right? Associate editor there, but I was also editor at that company, and I had a little placard or whatever for it. But this is the one that I either still have or know where it is. Anyway, yeah, so I guess it's just like, you know, what is the sense of unconsciousness? What is the sense of, you know, like sort of feeling like you're controlling things, but maybe things are kind of working on their own. And like, is that illusory, or is there some sense of engagement there where it's like more just kind of diving into the moment, and so you really like allow yourself to get invested in things? Or maybe like when I was a teenager or something, was I just totally asleep, and it was like I felt like I was devoting all this energy and will, and like I was doing what I wanted to do, maybe more often than not, except like for most of the time, because I'd be in school, and that's just sort of the first time the government really bites you. But you know, I think I mean, perhaps me going around like sort of, I certainly like, I don't know. Whatever the case may be, let's see if we can just kind of flow with it. We're gonna talk to him not only while he's asleep, but hopefully through the window. That's gonna be fucking hilarious. Okay. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Well, we're waking his ass up. Oh, fuck. Oh, that's Piper. I was like, who's that? And for a second, it was like, oh my god, is that like an enemy in the darkness over there? No, it's Piper. Okay.
Preston thought you might be able to figure out these plans for me.
Look at, he just gets right up and is like, yep, okay.
Sure thing. Let's see what you've got.
Oh god. Okay. Can you build this? Work fast. Not now. Here you go.
Here you go.
Wow. What a mess. Looks like, encrypted RF transmissions. Okay, so that gets routed through... What the hell? Teleportation. This is some pretty crazy shit. You sure it's for real?
It's real. I got
Yeah.
it from an ex-Institute scientist.
Seriously?
A
I didn't know you
scientist.
could be an ex-Institute anything and still be breathing. Anyway, the eggheads never think about the nuts and bolts of actually making something work. But, looks like it's all here. Yeah, I'm gonna need some time to study this thing. The handwriting's pretty hard to make out. But, you can get started on what he calls a stabilized reflector platform. It'll need some pretty high-grade metals, but it's basically not that different than the lining of a jet engine or something like that.
Oh boy. Oh no. Fallout 4. Are you sending me on another scavenger hunt? Just to fill you in, prior to being able to talk to this guy, I think I kind of had to increase my reputation with the Minutemen anyway, so I probably had to build this town for them. But I think I might have done that anyway. But in any case, I had to go talk to these guys. They told us I'd need to basically prove myself to them or something. Even though they're living in the town that I built. No, and in my house probably, actually, because this is where I used to live with my wife and child. Anyway, we had to go to another settlement and ask another group of people, will you join us? And then they said, you need to go over there to the Corvega assembly plant, which I remember being brutally difficult in a previous attempt at playing the game. I didn't play it for that long. I played it for so short, basically, that I didn't even like really know the controls going into Corvega. Not really. This time it was a lot easier, and I was more leveled up and had better weapons, gear, whatever. Anyway, we did that. We went back. They said, okay. They said, hey, well, I think they said we'll join the Minutemen. Maybe they didn't. Whatever. These are the Minutemen. So then I went back here, and then they were like, okay, great. Now you've proven yourself. Now we'll help you build this teleporter. And I was thinking, oh, great. Oh, great. That's like the whole quest, right? I have to go to one of the groups in the wasteland. I have to convince them to help me out, and then they'll help me out. And it's like, well, actually, no. You got to go find the parts for this, and you're probably gonna have to like help him figure out how to. It's like, really, man. I just want to teleport to the Institute. Whatever. Okay, hold on. Let's just relax for a second here. For a little bit. Look at Piper in the background. Her head, she's just like... And, this guy's kind of lucky because he's not looking that hilarious because he has a fucking hood over his whole head. So, like, you don't know what he's doing. And then this guy's just sort of staring. All right. This won't work.
Can you give me a list of what you need to build this platform?
Yeah, sure. Here's a list of what you'll need for the first piece. I'm pretty sure we've got all that at Sanctuary, if you want to build it there. While we're working on that, I'll get busy figuring out how to actually build the rest of this thing. Keep in mind, I can already see this is going to take a crazy amount of juice. Like if you had a spare nuclear reactor handy, we could probably use it. And it's going to be big. So find a nice open building site with lots of power available.
Oh, fuck. Man, he just kept giving us objectives at the end there. So I guess we're going to have to find a building site. Well, maybe we can just build it like in the road. This is sort of extra disappointing because probably the most kind of maybe one of the most triggering aspects of this gameplay would be everything to do with breaking stuff into materials and then building shit. Like, it's just something about it. It's felt like such a drag almost every time to me. Plus, you have to figure out how to get your materials from like there to here, and that was a mystery, and I didn't know what was going on for a long time. Okay. Let's do it. Tell me what to do, please. Special? This person cannot be assigned to a supply line. That's exactly what I was just referring to, getting your supplies from one place to another. Because you have to literally assign somebody to walk back and forth, kind of like constantly. I think if you watch their character model, they just literally walk back and forth with a cow and like some shit on its back. Anyway. Okay. Is this it? Yeah, okay. Can we do it? Okay, good. So we can do it. Okay. Hey, look at this. Fine. Great. Oh, that was so much easier than I thought. Thank goodness we had all those parts. I've been working this whole fucking time to do it. I've been working to build those, to get all those parts. Because you get all this, you pick up all these like seemingly useless items, but then many or most of them can be broken down into parts, and then you can use those to build other things. So the entire game is sort of like, I don't like to talk about gameplay loops because I think that's so reductive and just, it's similar to saying like I consume a book. It's just like how much of an automaton and some kind of like dehumanized piece of rubble are you willing to verbally make yourself? So I don't want to talk about like gameplay loops, but I will say, and it's like, well, they're there or not. It's like, I guess you could use that concept. I guess you could describe things in that way or not. But when you do, I think it tends to suck a lot of the fun out of the game if you're thinking about things in that kind of circular fashion. Because it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I go in here, I do this, I get that, and then I just repeat that over and over, and that's the entire game. It's like that. Do you really want to think of it that way? Or is that something that a bunch of people on YouTube talk about, and then now you're talking about gameplay loops, and you're also talking about the original release of a game being vanilla, as if the original release of the game is in some way lacking because it doesn't have a bunch of extra shit that they added to it, which you then, by the way, as someone who might say these types of things, will criticize because it's DLC and it's kind of fucking up the whole game and the whole industry in terms of like what goes into making a game and everything. There are just so many horrible things about it. Even like characters you have to buy to play showing up mandatorily on your character select screen, and you can't have them not there. So every time you play your favorite fighting game now, maybe you have a bunch of characters that you didn't pay for yet, so they're just staring you in the face. These are the characters you have to pay money for. And it's like, oh, so I'm being advertised to. Every time I play it, it's telling me something's missing, something's missing, something's missing. And you don't get it by playing the game and doing well in the game and having fun with the game, which you used to get new characters by doing. No, you get it by paying us more money. And so it's less fun and it's also more money. Both things. And I think the less fun is probably the bigger part of it. It's less fun because you have less incentive to play the game. So the game is less fun to begin with because there's less, like, it feels like there's less shit to do, or there's less stuff rewarding you for getting better at the game. Now the game is just whatever's there, and then here are a bunch of extra things you can buy. And that's like every fucking game. And then they talk about the gameplay loop and further suck all the air out of it. And then they talk about the original release being a vanilla game, and vanilla sounds like the boring, right? Like what is the connotation of vanilla? Well, I think it's boring, basic. You could say normal or neutral, but I think it's more like this is the thing without all the extra stuff that you would want. And it's like, so you're gonna talk bad about DLC, perhaps rightly so, but then you're also gonna call any game where no DLC has been added to it vanilla, and like basically use a term as in it's less than you want, and yet you're not a fan of the DLC, but you're referring to the original game as if it's really less than it could be because it doesn't have the DLC that I also hate. It's like, way to fucking mind control yourself into hating absolutely fucking everything, right, man? I mean, come on, man.